We are 8 months away, count them, 8 months until the release of another high-profile Star Wars production in the form of Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in May of 2026. Now, of course, we could be getting that cringy Maul Shadow Lord show because it is animated after all, and well, I don't think the turnaround time on that is going to be too much, but Ahsoka Season 2 is on the horizon with all of those keys to Jango, but in general, yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu is the only thing with a concrete release date. And well, that doesn't mean that there isn't a bunch of Star Wars related news coming out, and I would imagine in the lead up to Mandalorian and Grogu, with Lucasfilm definitely second guessing their choice to double down on Pedro Pascal weighing heavy on their minds, I'd imagine we'll probably be hearing quite a bit about future projects for Mandalorian. Well, we'll have to see what happens there, but there's actually a whole host of news that has come out recently, or at least rumors, or things designed to get you hyped, and in the case of the Obi Wan Kenobi show, as we're going to be looking through the past, the present, and the future for Star Wars, they're designed to get you excited for everything that could potentially be coming out, because Star Wars isn't about telling a coherent or original story anymore. No, it's about jangling keys, because hey, you want Obi-Wan Season 2, Ewan McGregor's on board for it, so is Hayden Christensen. And both of them are supposed to be coming back for Ahsoka Season 2, so if you like them there, then you can see, a second season of Obi-Wan where he probably does what he should have done, even if you wanted to do, even though it's incredibly ill-advised to be doing Season 1 to begin with, but where he actually stays on Tatooine, where he actually trains in the ways of the Force and learns how to become a Force ghost from Qui-Gon Jinn. That's funny what Liam Neeson recently had to say about Qui-Gon Jinn going out like a bitch, but that's neither here nor there. Season 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi is, because we talked about this last week, if I recall correctly, but what exactly was the iceberg moment for the MCU? A lot of people could say Thor Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, even if you want to peel it back a little bit further by going with Endgame or even Captain Marvel, you could say Kenobi. The Kenobi show was that point for Star Wars. Obviously, like the sequel trilogy, TLJ, the movie side of things is its own beast, but the supposed renaissance among fans was with all of these live action shows, but the one that had all of the hope, the one that was the most consequential, ended up being the biggest fumble of them all. And so, yeah, I would probably say Kenobi was about the time where everybody, or at least a vast majority of people, started to abandon hope that Star Wars could be a serious franchise once again, because you think about what came out after Obi-Wan. Did Andor come out afterwards? Yeah, that was completely and totally disregarded. Yeah, because it came out right after Andor. And then, of course, you got Mandalorian Season 3, which was just universally despised. And then you got The Acolyte, fucking lol. But then also you got Ahsoka before that, which, yeah, for as much as people want to clap and go, oh my god, he Vadered, it's red. They can't tell you a goddamn thing about the other 8 episodes outside of Thrawn coming in and being a coping asshole. But yes, it was the squandered potential of Season 1 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was never supposed to be a TV show to begin with. It was supposed to be another one of the standalone movies, kind of like Solo, but after that one ended up losing money and the world ended up getting shut down, but the actors and producers could continue to go to work. Funny thing about that, they decided to make the Kenobi movie a Kenobi show to deleterious effects, but now we're starting to hear a little bit more about the plans for the movie, and well, they sound like that key jangling extravaganza. That was the show, that was the MO for all of those Filoni Favreau slop projects that are just festoon across D+. So we got the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie plans included, Commander Cody, because everybody knows that, and a de-aged Mark Hamill. What? Okay, what? So what? Okay, so this was going to butt up right close to A New Hope, or at least closer to that, because this took place, Season 1 ended up taking place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, if I recall correctly, but yes, 3 years after its release, Obi-Wan Kenobi continues to generate conversation, because they're trying to sell a second season among Star Wars fans. The Ewan McGregor earned praise, sure, for its continuation of plot threads from Revenge of the Sith. Lol, no it didn't. Yeah, those continuation of plot threads, like how Vader could pull down transport ships by the use of the Force and rip the hull out of said ships, or how he learned how to track the Millennium Falcon because Reva put a tracking chip on the stupid little Lola robot. God, all that shit was so dumb. Although the final product was quite different than initially envisioned. Prior to being a Disney Plus series, Obi Wan Kenobi was conceived as a movie, a trilogy of movies. In fact, really, Stuart Beattie, who wrote wrote the story and created the characters of the original Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, was hired to write the first movie. Interesting. Eventually, BD was replaced when the project turned into a show, but he retained screenwriting credits as writers on episodes 1 through 3 and the finale. Interesting. So what, it was always heading to a nondescript planet where Vader and Kenobi could just walk across each other on a big flat open plain. But first and foremost, Vader had to confront him by saying, "So have you come to destroy me?" after he chased Kenobi down to the planet. Very good. Very, very tightly written show. In an interview with The Direct back in 2022, BD revealed story details for the Obi Wan Kenobi movie and the overview of the details. The main purpose of the story was to depict Kenobi as he comes to terms with the fact that Vader killed Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, that would have been nice to see outside of just, a couple of flashbacks in half of the first episode. Vader is obsessed with Kenobi and tells Emperor Palpatine that Kenobi and Yoda remain the biggest threats to the Empire. Well, true. Despite this, Palpatine says Vader let go of his attachment to Kenobi. The movie would begin with an action sequence depicting Vader's slaughter of 5 Jedi. This was intended to establish Vader from the get-go as a big Jedi killer. Because, yeah, that's what he was doing, at least from what I've heard from a bunch of big lore nerds, is for as much as he had Tarkin going around just doing, like, the day-to-day Empire shit, Vader was more to be the Emperor's attack dog to go ahead and, tamp down any other Force users in the galaxy. Commander Cody would have played a significant role in the movie. His arc would explain how Cody evolved from a clone in Revenge of the Sith to a clone free of his inhibitor chip now. Yeah, here comes the Filoni fucking nonsense. Cody was written as a lighter character, who is tragically fighting against his accelerated aging process. Oh man, you could have actually had an insight about, disregarded clones. That could have been interesting. But no, it just would have been a goofball because, back in 1977, a stormtrooper in the background bonked his head on a door. At one point, Kenobi would leave Cody to watch over Luke as he left Tatooine. Oh god. So they were going to end up doing this stupid Leia shit in a funny movie that harkens back to old gangster movies. One scene would have Kenobi and Cody dump bodies of stormtroopers into a Sarlacc pit only to bump into another suspicious character also dumping bodies. Jesus Christ. So he's going to end up being the Kumail Nanjiani role, the fraud Jedi that Kenobi runs into in episode 2. Kenobi would largely be cut off from the Force until the climax that sees him regain his full Force abilities. Yeah, fantastic. Akin to Superman's powers returning him in Superman 2. The movie would have featured the Inquisitor Reva, a character that BD created. Oh god, Reva's origin story is similar to what it ends up in the show, although she doesn't know Anakin as Darth Vader. Yeah, because why would she know that if apparently Vader's real identity was supposed to be secretive across the galaxy? Because when she got stabbed in the stomach, another person who got stabbed with a lightsaber and didn't die, he was, pre-burn, pre-Mustafar Anakin, so how would she be able to connect the dots there if she was a kid? It never made any sense, but then again, we're looking for sense in the Obi Wan Kenobi show. In the end, Reva would be killed by Vader. Yay! That's what everybody wanted to begin with, rather than redeemed as she is in the series. Yeah, she's redeemed because she goes and chases Luke across the desert and doesn't kill him. That redeems her. Grand Inquisitor would not have been in the movie, as BD wanted to ensure stakes were high and characters were predetermined fates were at a minimum. Yeah, this actually sounds like a lot better. Okay, a vision sequence in the movie would have seen Kenobi on Mustafar dueling against Luke Skywalker. Interesting. Played by a de-aged Mark Hamill before the vision kills him. Kenobi snaps out of it and realizes projecting his guilt about Anakin's downfall onto Luke would lead to Luke turning to the dark side. Wow, Obi-Wan actually wrestling with his thoughts and feelings about what happened and transpired during a movie and a half of the prequels. A climactic duel between Vader and Kenobi would have taken place on a deteriorating space station falling apart in the atmosphere. Oh god, the closer you do that to the OT is just, well, it's a little bit immersion breaking, but then again, this entire show or this entire premises, the duel would conclude similarly to the shows. The duel with Kenobi slashing Vader's helmet and revealing part of his face. Yeah, because we did it in Rebels, but we could do it in live action, guys. Yay. At this moment, yes, Kenobi would finally come to terms with the fact that Vader killed Anakin, and we'd still have to wrestle with the fact that at the end of this show, oh wow, Kenobi had Vader dead to rights, but he just continued to let him live to go ahead and torture and kill millions more people. Fantastic stuff, Obi-Wan. You're still a fucking retard at the end of the show. Good stuff. But hey, at least the present is looking a little bit brighter, right, guys? Because that's a movie that we didn't get, but one that we are getting is a Star Wars Starfighter, the Ryan Gosling Rogue Squadron repurposing. Is that what we're going to be doing? Not a lot is known, but they're assembling a team. okay, because Matt Smith, okay, he lands the role as the villain, okay, in the new Lucasfilm pick starring Ryan Gosling, which, if you recall, Matt Smith was supposed to already be in Star Wars. He was supposed to be, at one point in time, he was tapped to be the big bad at the end of a Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, he was at one point in time, with some permeation of the script, he was gonna be the son of Palpatine or something like that. And I don't know what Rey would have been at that point in time. Would she have been a secret Skywalker? Would she have been a Kenobi? Would she still would have been the granddaughter of Palpatine and therefore the child of Matt Smith's character? Would he have been the brother in the Mortis triad? But God, all that shit is so retarded. But anyways, after fighting battles for House Targaryen, Matt Smith is ready to take the next fight to a galaxy far, far away. Yeah, mostly because, well, actually this is also, and that just immediately hit me, this is going to be going into production relatively soon, I think, because this is supposed to be the big 50th anniversary Star Wars project. Fucking lol. But anyways, yeah, it's coming out in May 1st or sometime in May of 2027. And so what does that mean for filming of season 3 of House of the Dragon? Because if you know anything about the source material, I know that there's 4 scheduled seasons, but yeah, I don't want to tease anything, but yeah, Matt Smith plays a pretty important role, at least in what we're going to be getting in season 3. So is that just like not coming out anytime soon? Great, fucking great. But yes, Lucasfilm and reps for Smith could not be reached for comment. The film will shoot this fall, okay, and is set to bow, yes, May 28th, 2027. While exact details are vague on who Smith will be playing, sources say that it'll be one of the villain roles. Casting has been gearing up in the project over the past couple of weeks with, yeah, the Deadpool and Wolverine director, meeting with a number of actors for key roles. Sources say executives made the decision to go with Smith to play the next great villain in the Star Wars universe. But yes, details of Starfighter, which were unveiled in April as part of Star Wars Celebration event in Tokyo. The film is set 5 years after the events of Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, which concluded the Skywalker saga. Oh, really? But yeah, Matt Smith as the villain, I mean, you got me interested because his work in House of the Dragon is fucking excellent. And so yeah, like this is already going to be a mundane project, and I'm just going to wait for all of those people that say that Andor isn't Star Wars, but then you get something that's so totally deracinated like Starfighter is going to be. I just want to see how they're going to go ahead and wrap their minds around this, but I hope it's good. I doubt it will be because Sean Levy's a bit of a hack and Ryan Gosling does absolutely nothing for me, but if you get a good Matt Smith performance, I mean, it'd be enough for me to check in on at least. But he's going to be one of the next great villains. Are you just going to do away with him for a spin-off movie, or is he going to be involved in Star Wars future? Okay, because plans for the post-Episode 9 era have reportedly been revealed. Yay. It will be similar to the Mando verse with multiple stories. Oh, for fuck's sakes, man. This has Dave Filoni taking over Lucasfilm written all over top of this. The first story will be Daisy Ridley's New Jedi Order, because of course that's what people want. They want the Rey movie. Episode 10, New Jedi Order. Can't wait. It will build towards a culminating event that brings back old characters. Bro, because at any point in time where we've heard leaks about what's going to be happening post Rise of Skywalker, like this is set I don't know, like 30 to 40 years after the fact. How the fuck are you gonna be bringing back old characters? Because cool, oh my god guys, look, it's Poe, look, it's Finn. Nobody's gonna give a fuck. Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford are going to be dead, so unless you're going to be doing AI recreations of them, I don't know what the hell you're going to be doing. Is there going to be another Anakin, Hayden Christensen, Force Ghost? Is that what you're going to be doing? Because we know somebody else who isn't factoring into any of these plans is apparently one of like Lucasfilm's most loyal soldiers in Temuera Morrison. Yeah, Boba Fett actor Temuera Morrison tells Star Wars fans to reach out to Lucasfilm about his return. All you need to send a letter. Oh, all of you need to send a letter or an email. Like, I mean, okay, Book of Boba Fett was atrocious. It's like a really bad watch. Like, it wasn't that long ago where I did a run through of a few breakdowns, and yeah, it's, oh god. Like, Obi Wan Kenobi, that show is probably the biggest wasted potential and the biggest bag fumble that Lucasfilm could have ever done. And Mandalorian was always trash, but then you can go ahead and just kind of push that off to the side. It's like, that's Dave Filoni shit where he can go play with his own goofy little action figures off there in the corner. But when it comes to, yeah, directly insulting some OT lore, like you'd be hard pressed, or I would at least listen to conversations that Book of Boba Fett is the most damaging. It's one of the worst, and a lot of the production elements indicate that it is the worst. That's nothing against Temuera Morrison. He still brings it. Like, he's great in the role, and you can rehab Book of Boba Fett for what kind of a bumbling retard he was during the events of that show, but how he's been blacklisted is fucking wild. Because all he could do was perform the lines that Jon Favreau gave him, and yeah, they were trash. He still did a good job. And if you can let him be the Boba Fett that he wants to be, yeah, there's a reason this guy was popular prior to him getting his own show. While people were actually looking forward to the release of the Book of Boba Fett because they were already tired of Mando and thought that, hey, you know what, Boba Fett, hey man, it's like Mando's already a discount Boba Fett, so let's just go ahead and run with him. Because I remember Boba Fett. Yay, Boba Fett. Temuera Morrison, who has been a member of the Star Wars family for more than 2 decades, is calling on fans of the franchise to urge Disney to bring him back for more appearances in a galaxy far, far away. And you would have thought, right, especially with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and with the, not anticipated, but the expected Filoni-verse wrap-up movie, it's like you would have thought that Boba Fett would have just factored in there. At some point, it makes no sense that he's getting the Gina Carano treatment. I don't know why. Like, he's made a couple of snide remarks about, oh, for the next upcoming season of The Mandalorian, I should get a couple of episodes because he took some out of my show, which is 1000% true. What was it, episodes 5 and 6 were ostensibly the first 2 episodes for Mandalorian season 3. But that's not, is that too far out of pocket that he ends up getting put on the no-go list? No, Morrison bluntly answered. We really have to treasure those moments now. All of you need to send a fax. God, man, what an old man. Or a letter or an email to those powers that be at Lucasfilm. I'm sure they'd love to hear from everyone. Please give Daniel Logan and Temuera Morrison another chance and put them somewhere. Because, yeah, especially with, you know, like Ahsoka Season 2 and how they're going to be pilfering the Clone Wars era. He did play a character during that time. He was Rex after all, so I don't know why. Like, why is he on the outside looking in? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Morrison debuted as the Mandalorian bounty hunter Jango Fett back in 2002's Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones. Went on to play the character's many genetic clones, plus a grown-up version of his adoptive clone son Boba, right? Daniel Logan, who appeared in the panel with Morrison, played Boba as a child in Attack of the Clones. Oh, okay, that's who that is. Crazy part with Star Wars is that you don't know about filming anything until like a week or maybe 2 or even less than that, right? Logan said. But the thing is, Temuera is the greediest person in Star Wars. He's played so many characters. He's got the most characters in Star Wars if you go down the line, right? Jango to Boba, all of the clones, Rex, Cody, which is why we started with this stuff. See, thematics, it all comes full circle. Fives, he's got the most characters in Star Wars. There are going to be plenty of opportunities, Logan continued, especially for this guy, especially with the era of Star Wars like Ahsoka and the rest of the stuff after Return of the Jedi. Yeah, exactly, because Boba Fett's out there. You've established that he's out there. He is still out there being a crime boss on Tatooine, okay, running Mos Eisley, okay, like he's taking over for Jabba. You're telling me that Dave Filoni, in whatever stupid little cringe project that he has cooking, isn't going to be returning to the most important place in the entire galaxy, and Boba Fett's not going to be there? Boba Fett's not going to have a presence? Like, you're absolutely insane. So yeah, with all of the plans, with all of the slop that Star Wars has on the horizon, to not bring back one of its most recognizable faces, it just kind of lets you know that there's really not too much of a plan going over there at Lucasfilm, and what they had ends up getting scuttled for something that is infinitely worse. I'm not saying that the Obi-Wan movie would have been great, but the outline that I've seen is a little bit more engaging. And to bring in Matt Smith as a big villain, I like him as an actor. Is he going to be saddled with the same type of nonsensical baggage that everybody else is with Star Wars? I would imagine so. So there's a lot to talk about, not a lot to confirm at this point in time, but the Star Wars machine is going to continue to churn on. It's just how much more oil are left in these gears before we end up with a total seizure. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.